But they don't like it, so they're going to redo the Electoral College. You're smarter than the American people and the American founders, right? You elites, you nanny-state government, the bureaucrats, you're so much smarter. The federal government sues a state, Arizona, for adopting federal law. In California, a single judge unilaterally overrules, expressed for the second time in California, and 30 out of 30 states that have voted on it, the will of the people. And I don't care where you are on the particular issue. But did we not spend money and time and heartache and argue it out among ourselves? Why do we bother? Why have direct democracy? Why initiatives, referendum, and recall? If a single judge can say, I'm smarter than you all. And the side that lost spent a lot more than the side that won. But he didn't like the decision, so he will know. The imperial judiciary. Okay? In Missouri, the folks voted just a couple months ago, right? Prop C, 71 to 29, and simply said, no thanks. No federal health care mandate. For the first time in American history, a federal law telling the citizens of the United States, you must go buy something. No thanks, they said in Missouri. Obama doesn't care. Or the mayor of New York, or the president, denying the will of the people on the Ground Zero Mosque. The president, you're such a smart guy, Mr. Law Professor. We really needed you to lecture at us and wag the finger, Mr. Constitutional Lawyer. We know there's religious liberty and freedom in this country. Nobody said they can't build the mosque. We said we don't like it. Are we not allowed to do that? We have to get a lecture. Okay, you're going to get a lecture November 2nd. The arrogance is unbelievable. In my little town, my little hovel called Los Angeles, road rage was palpable that recent Monday evening when Mr. Obama shut down traffic for over 1 million drivers on the east-west thoroughfares of Pico, Olympic, Wilshire, Santa Monica. Right? Do these ring a bell? Because he decided to have his fundraiser at 6 o'clock in Hancock Park. Very clever. This is the same arrogance that led to that photo shoot, remember, over Ground Zero? Remember early on the plane? Or Mrs. Obama's lovely fancy trip to Spain with all her friends and 30 hired aides and assistants, and the endless vacations and parties at the White House while Americans suffer. The last of the A's is pro-Araby. I promised I'd come back to that. You know, there's a lot of money to be made by taking the side of the Arab world. Ask Bill Clinton. He's made hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars each speech. How do you think he got $100 million, folks? Maybe it's more. Syria is the partner of Iran, the longest-running designated state sponsor of terrorism. It gave assistance to Al-Qaeda in Iraq. It cooperated with North Korea on a nuclear facility in eastern Syria, preempted by the Israelis. It hosts terror groups. Yet Mr. Obama reduced sanctions on the terror state of Syria and even facilitated trade between Syria and the European Union. Mr. Obama began with his appeasement of Palestinians, $900 million to the Palestinians as payback. He pressured the Israelis, which the Palestinians said, why would we negotiate with the Israelis? Obama's beating up on them just fine. Mr. Obama has a Muslim father and a Muslim stepfather. He says he's a Christian. That's fine with me. But his pastor for 20 years, who married Mr. Obama and his wife and baptized their daughters, is a racist anti-Semite who shouted, gee, damn America. I think it's fair to say we're still trying to figure out who Barry Soetoro is. Or did you think Obama was Irish? By the way, Barack Obama spelled backwards is am a book Arab. On the subject of Islam, during the 08 campaign, Mr. Obama said, I have visited all 57 states. There are 57 Muslim nations. Just a couple more of his greatest hits. In Turkey, Mr. Obama asserted Americans don't consider ourselves a Christian nation. Then in Egypt he has said, America is one of the largest Muslim countries in the world. In Saudi Arabia he asserted Allahu Akbar. Usually you don't say that on Muslim soil unless you're a Muslim. Incredibly, Barack Obama touted the fact that President Jefferson had a Quran in his personal library. Not seeming to know or notice that it was underlined and used by Jefferson in our wars against the Muslim Barbary pirates, the Tripolitan Wars of 1801 to 1805. Adams and Jefferson had gone to explore and learn and try to compromise. They were rebuffed at every turn, and the 1,400-year-old jihad was on, and it's still on. Mr. Obama loudly asserted that Daniel Pearl was murdered because he was a journalist. And that's why he named it the Daniel Pearl Freedom of Press Act. So our State Department will judge the treatment of journalists in our relations with countries. Except Daniel Pearl wasn't murdered because he was a journalist. His final words were, I'm an American and a Jew. And then he was beheaded. I close with my question and my answer. Why? Why? What is behind all this radicalism? Not just of this man, and I did a little biography, but this party. You know, only once in 60 years has a presidential election gone 3 times in a row to one party. Ronald Reagan in 1980, and again in 84, and he passed the baton on to his vice president, President 41, George Herbert Walker Bush. Only once. It was their turn, right? By historic standards. But why did their party nominate this far left wing? Was he not the most liberal of the 100 senators? Did he not have 0 experience in foreign policy? Never wore the uniform? Never built a business? There are people in this room, small business people, who if they looked at his resume would not hire him to be the junior guy. How was he nominated, much less elected? And how did this party, the Democratic Party, come to where it is today? Ronald Reagan thought he was an ordinary and patriotic American leading a special nation whose best days were yet to come. Mr. Obama thinks he's an extraordinary man leading a blemished and immoral nation of limits. Again, his autobiography. Dreams from my father. It is all a terribly upset rage against the West, the colonial powers, the founders of America, the white man. Mr. Obama believes in the opinions of mankind, specifically our adversaries. They shall rule and motivate, not our national interests or our essential first principles. J. William Fulbright said that our arrogance is more dangerous than our enemies. Some of us understand that the world is dangerous, and when we are weak and unwilling to act, it gets more dangerous. But Mr. Obama and his party believe in declinism. China and India will relegate us to just one of several great powers, and that's a good thing anyways, so why should we lead? Why shouldn't we just follow along? The left believes in moral solipsism, in obsessive regard and intense focus on oneself. This is the nihilism of our age. The indifference to the moral performance of those who wish us ill. We are not perfect, therefore we cannot judge any others. There is no spectrum and no gradation of human behavior, of good and evil. Liberalism today, leftism, believes in indiscriminateness. No differences between good and evil, right and wrong. Their primary value is equality. Equality above all. It's a fantasy. It's a utopian dream. It's their prophetic prayer. We believe in something different. We believe in equality of opportunity, but not outcome. That all men are created equal, which is the prerequisite for liberty. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.